Good morning, gentlemen.
Let's go. Coop, we've had a horse, we've had an NFT artist, now we have you on here. Perfect way to sort of wrap up the show here. Where are you?
I'm in beautiful Crested Butte, Colorado, catching some vibes, touching some grass,
Yeah, I
Damn,
saw
let's
that on your
go.
Instagram. It looked good.
having a good time. Headed to Denver today for a couple shows, keeping the train rolling here.
Yeah, your Instagram is FOMO inducing. So if somebody wants you go follow him if you're interested there. You're behind the scenes, some of the best parties. People look like they're having fun. These artists that you'd signed or had started working with early, like they seem to be blowing up in like not a crypto way, but like a real way. Josh, let's introduce Coop for those who don't know, and then we can actually. I'll just jump in
Cool.
otherwise.
Yeah, so Cooper's the founder of Coop Records, an on-chain record label that's home to 150 plus artists and over 600 releases since starting in August 2023. Coop, the place I wanted to start was, on-chain music obviously has a long history of failing, kind of a forbidden word almost in in crypto. So I'm curious what gives you kind of continued confidence that there's actually something here.
Damn, what an intro, huh?
Yeah, like wow.
Shooting down my dreams. So Cooper, the thing that you're really passionate about just keeps.
I'm only asking it because you're a narrative violation. If you were in that bucket, I wouldn't be asking it. I'd be very
yeah. What gives me confidence is that the principle of being able to trade songs has always been crystal clear to me. I think it's more just the mechanisms and the actual app experience that allows you to do that. We haven't even touched 99.9% of the world that might be interested in doing that as a concept. And so I think for me, it's a lot more about just whittling down a product to something that's actually good and usable, more so than it is trying to, keep picking at the idea, because I think the idea is very sound. It's more just execution of the idea that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch because I think, as we've seen open editions, meme coins, these sort of mechanisms shift, you've been really early to experiment with them. And I sort of noticed a big shift maybe over the last year or so around maybe what I would call utility, but I'm not sure that's the right word here. Like a real focus on making sure that you're delivering a product that people love, they keep coming back to, and that you're sort of growing iteratively and consistently rather than just these sort of flash in the pan moments that jump in. So I'm curious, has there been any insights through that process? Like what have sort of been the big unlocks in the product as you really honed in on trying to make this just a delightful experience for your users?
It's nothing that's too new to the listeners of this, podcast, radio series, whatever you want to call it. It's just making it easy to sign up and easy to buy things. I think for me, the thing we shipped on Friday was embedded wallets with smart accounts under the hood. So you can sign up with an email, you go through an onboarding flow, you follow a couple artists, you get some credits, you use the credits to buy the songs. And there's no mention of depositing ETH into an account. There's no mention of the fact that you're on base. And so even getting to that point, I think is like the starting ground. We are just now at that starting ground point. And so now the question becomes, tell us what you hate about the app. And so when I'm going to these festivals and these shows, I'm basically going up to friends, going up to mutual colleagues, going up to artists. And I'm saying, hey, can I have a couple minutes of your time? I'm putting them through the onboarding flow, and they're just telling me what they like and they don't like. They're telling me what's intuitive, what's not intuitive. And I think the biggest feedback that I've gotten in the recent weeks, which I found to be interesting, is that people are actually really interested by this idea of coins and songs having a market cap, and one song being more expensive than the other, and why is that the case? And for the last 2 years, we've really indexed on collecting as kind of the main habit that we wanted to push for it. And there's a couple of reasons for that I can go into, but these days we're really reorienting around this idea of a song with a market cap, being able to buy in early if you're a fan, being able to earn that for actions like listening to the song, making videos on TikTok, etc. And so I think there's this really nice moment that's forming now where not only can people actually use the app because they don't need to know anything about crypto to do it in the first place, but now we can start to get into this feedback loop of, okay, if a song having a market cap is interesting, how do we deliver the most simple experience possible around that and just optimize for people being able to jump in and have fun?
I mean, yeah, talk about this transition from songs with collectibles to songs with market caps. Like why do you think songs with market caps is the right form factor or mechanism?
I think we've just seen it over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. I think that the idea of collecting has a place at some point in the future, but it's probably not until after there's like a critical mass of people that find these things to be desirable and exciting to hold in their portfolio, wallet, profile, whatever you want to call it. I think for most people, just coming to a page and seeing a song name and a price and seeing that it's going up and down, that concept is not new to crypto. I think people have been trying to build this sort of music stock market idea for a very long time. I think we now actually have the tools to be able to do that. And so for us, there's still a lot of trial and error around like pricing mechanics, market structures, token distribution, et cetera, et cetera. But that's for us to figure out on the back end. The most important thing is you hear a song on TikTok, you hear a song the day it comes out on Spotify. How do we create a place where people actually want to come and spend $5, $10 to kind of bet on that song early, and or have a tangible means of actually earning their first $5 or $10 of crypto because they're tangibly listening to that song, following that artist, and doing things that you can show and prove actually mattered in making that song successful.
I think I maybe a month ago came back to Coop Records and purchased some of my first songs in a while, I think, into this new model. And I think you're very right. Like, it's easy to grok. And I think I wonder if we just even look at your website over the time and just see how much simpler it's getting. That might be an illustrative example. You tweeted yesterday something interesting, though. You said starting to feel like being in crypto for too long might actually be a disadvantage. You optimize for things that probably don't matter to real people and focus on topics and trends that are likely distracting to the big picture. An immense amount of gratitude and respect for the impact crypto has had on my life and career, but these days find myself feeling less inspired and motivated by trading and price action than ever before. What was the motivation for that, my friend?
I'm not really spending a lot of time with crypto people anymore. I'd say I spend like 90% of my time just with artists and people that are going to shows and talking to label owners and managers and whatnot. And when I walk them through the product, where their mind goes is so much different than where people's mind goes when I'm talking to people on Farcast or people on Twitter, on Telegram and whatnot. And so it's this weird conundrum where the vast majority of volume right now is driven by crypto native users, but that's not the audience that's going to allow us to scale this thing and become something that's successful, has attention, is somewhat of a breakout app. And so I think for me now, the user interviews I'm doing have been really insightful because it just shows you that there's a lot of stuff that we care deeply about in crypto that people don't even think about when it comes to just like using a simple mobile app that they've come across for the first time. So I think that's kind of the main motivation, is just like how I've been spending my time and who I've been talking to. But I think more broadly too, it's just getting to a place where you're not you're not married to the crypto native opinion and you're not dictated by it, and you can actually build freely based on new feedback and opinions and not based on the learned habits that all of us have developed over the course of the last 3, 5, 7 years being in crypto for so long.
So Coop, I think you've leaned into kind of our on-chain marketing distribution tools probably harder than anyone else I've seen. Boost, Galaxy, there's kind of a whole host of them. So I'm curious if you could, I don't know what you're doing today. I knew what you were doing 6 months ago. So curious if you could kind of catch us up on how you're, getting distribution for these artists today that you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, we run Quest every single day. I would say that it's a pretty core, essential part of the collecting engine. Basically, how it works is that we sell a collectible, we give back a reward in our song coins, and people can either choose to sell it and get some cash back, they can stake it and earn some more Coop points, or they can just hold on to it and hope that that song is going to go up in the future. I mean, if you look at any of our song coin charts, like it definitely was advantageous for people to just hold on to the rewards that they were getting. And so I think that was kind of the positive loop that got us excited about song coins in the first place. The reason why it's so important in our engine is that it allows us to generate predictable income for artists. And in a world where an artist cannot know how many streams they're going to get, they don't know if their song is going to go viral, anything like that, we can predictably say if we put $5,000 of budget behind the song, the artist is going to make $6,000 in earnings. And being able to have that confidence in going to an artist and saying, hey, we're going to put $5,000, $10,000 behind this as a marketing campaign, it allows us to get some really talented people in the door because it's not just like a dice roll. And so I think one of the biggest things that's been harder for me to grasp with this transition to coins is that you kind of take that guaranteed income off the table, at least in terms of what it's generating on chain. Now, there's other ways you can get there through advances and basically giving upfront capital, and then basically we take the risk as Coop Records in terms of what we're coining and what we're signing and whatnot. But it's been nice to know that we can guarantee a certain level of income for artists and kind of know what these songs are going to generate on the platform. But the challenge is that there is this local ceiling that we're hitting in terms of the maximum amount of income that an artist can generate. And as all of us have seen, I think that the holy grail for these new apps and these new formats on chain is that an artist needs to believe they can make $100,000, $1 million. And if they do and they see other people doing that, they're going to tell their friends. And so I think that what we're optimizing for is basically those home run use cases and trying to create something that feels really exciting that people would want to tell their friends about.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So I'm curious your thoughts on Zora and specifically creator coins, because I think we're seeing this dynamic where the one way to look at it would be that the individual posts are maybe not that interesting. The aggregation of those posts might be interesting from an economic perspective, and being able to pull that up into some, higher abstracted investable token is kind of, I guess, the theory that they're working on. We've seen it pop up in a few other places too around meme coins. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Is that relevant for what you're doing? Yeah.
It's super relevant. We're very inspired by what they're doing. I have an immense amount of respect for Zora always taking just these early shots on goal. I mean, I may or may not have accidentally launched my creator coin this weekend at a cafe at 5 a.m. And I guess just to give a quick story there, all of us have been around the block enough to know the pressure and expectations that come with launching a personal token, a social token, a creator coin. And so when I saw Zora launch creator coins, I was really inspired by it from a conceptual level, but I was hesitant to do it personally because of what I perceived the expectations to be. And so this Friday, my boy Daniel had a show in Denver. It was a fantastic show. We're all going out to celebrate after. We're getting dinner at 5 a.m. I'm walking this artist next to me through Coop Records and through Zora, clicking around, and then all of a sudden I hit this button and I launched my creator coin, like completely on accident. And so I like dropped my phone and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. Because in my mind, I wanted to have like a very clear and concise go-to-market strategy, have a bunch of content planned and whatnot. And so I leaned into it. And truthfully, it's been lower stakes than I would have expected. It's been fun to kind of climb the ranks and start experimenting with some of these more novel use cases. I think that Zora will admit that we're still in the same phase where like the top creators on Zora are still largely just, very big crypto native personalities. And so this kind of feels like the first trough that we have to cross there. But I do think that this flywheel, being able to post content as a coin, have that volume go back into your creator coin, and have the creator coin actually drive the underlying platform token. I really, really like the foundation that they currently have. I think it's very bullish that when you join Zora, you automatically launch a coin as a result. It's not like this big decision that you have to make like 3 months down the line. And so I think all the building blocks are there. I think now it just comes down to the quality of content and the quality of creators on the network, which truthfully is the same game that we're all fighting for. So best man wins.
Yeah, one of the things that sort of stood out in the conversation with Jacob recently, and even that I'm seeing here, is just how the words that we used like on the call to action, and collect, mint, burn, all these sort of things, all are completely inferior to one word, which is invest. And I see that through here, right? The simplicity of it. It is understandable, especially if you have a chart, to most people what investing is. I have an expectation. I'm going to generate some sort of thesis. Apparently, we only do it in 6.5 seconds, so needs to be a simple, quick thesis. But that is like the thing that most people get. And so I'm seeing sort of parallel discoveries of that here, where maybe getting out of our way is as simple as really just being focused on the language that we're using on these pages. And invest is the thing where we can meet people. But it reminds me, actually, and even in that conversation, I throw back to a conversation I had a long time ago where you were expressing some doubts or concerns about the number of people that are actually stock buyers or investors, people who see themselves as wanting to buy these assets. I'm curious if your sort of thoughts have changed there, or I just threw a billion things at you, so go where you'd like.
Yeah, I think that for me, there's such a large untapped market of people who have never touched crypto before and who are highly turned off by it, that trying to sway their opinion is actually very exciting to me. And I think for me, the orientation of spending time with artists who don't have any prior experience with crypto, spending time with label managers and managers that looked at this very heavily in 2021, but maybe didn't think it was right for them. I'm very confident in terms of our pitch to artists and being able to get quality talent onto the platform. Now that same work needs to be done with the actual people who are going to use the platform, which is the music fans, the people who don't have, enough money to afford concerts on a monthly basis. And, getting those people to spend $5-10 is a pretty challenging duty. So I guess all I can say is that I still believe that there is, a small relative ceiling in the number of people that want to like buy and actively trade stocks and whatnot, but it's still much, much, much larger than the amount of people we currently have on the platform today, that it's all just one step at a time. And I think for me, I've kind of just realized a bit of a transition here, but all of us have been in crypto long enough that you got to do something that inspires you and that keeps you excited to be around, and I think that for me, I was kind of just not getting the job done with just like trading every day and going in the trenches and trying to find the next meme coin that's running and whatnot. And so I'm very happy and grateful for the orientation we have with Coop Records now. I'm super aware that it's extremely niche. Not many people care about it in crypto, not many people care about it in the music world, but I care about it a lot. And so I think for me, it's just like, as long as we can exist and keep building this thing and chipping away, I'm not here trying to say that we're going to change the music industry tomorrow, but I got a pretty clear vision for where we're going. I got a team that I love, and it's all just one step at a time.
Man, I love that. I think that is, especially for folks who've been through the ringer a few times. This is careers are marathons, right? And I think crypto might make you think that there's just a series of sprints. And I think that approach, even just in who you're spending your time with and how your network grows, is just going to be so much more aligned for you. And it's been something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently too. I expect a bunch of our listeners are as well. So for the record, I am a deep believer in the category you're going after. I had spent 2 years, 2 of the worst years of my life working in the music industry and seeing just how completely fucked it is for the artist. I think it is a very worthwhile mission to be on, to try to go and move the needle there in some way. And I think you're the person to go do it. So appreciate you hopping on with us today in the middle of your, I don't know, what is the middle of the rolling field and beautiful blue skies with a few clouds. So hopefully you can get out there and enjoy it. And we look forward to getting you back on here again soon, man.
Handling my inner Jess out here, touching grass, getting out into nature. But I appreciate you guys. Last thing I'll say is that we did just roll out a new version of Coop Records on Friday. So if you get a chance, go to cooprecords.xyz. A lot of new bells and whistles. I'm most proud of just our new onboarding flow on mobile. So coming to the App Store soon. We're in the review process, and we got a bunch more coins on the way in the next couple weeks. So keep an eye out. It's going to be a busy summer for us.
Huge.
Yeah, I think it's still very early here in the on-chain music world. Very worthwhile for you to go pop over to Coop Records. And whether you're looking from an onboarding perspective, you're building, there's a simplicity that they've applied there through trial and error, or you go buy an artist coin. It'll pull you into their world a little bit more and maybe add a bit of dynamism to your timeline. All right, brother, we've taken up way more than your time than we intended to. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the internet.
Appreciate it. See you guys.